Assalamualaikum and good morning. So, how are you today? This is Dr. Rosmaini again, back lecturing on the chapter 5 of Service Management Course. The title is Supporting Facility and Process Flow. So, this title is basically from the textbook of Service Management by Professor James Fitzgerald. And in this chapter, the learning objective is basically I am supposed to enable you to describe the impact of servicescapes on behavior of customer and employees. So in this chapter, it is very much concerned about the customers who are present or going to the place of doing business, for example, like shopping center, complex, theaters, and so on. So that is the service scale in which where the location of the service are being provided. So by the end of this course also, I'm supposed to enable you to identify and discuss this environmental dimension of Servicescape. What are the aspect of the ambience, the aspect of facility, and so on. So you're supposed to identify critical design features of a service supporting facility like shopping complexes or theme park and so on. You should be able to understand and draw the swim lane flowchart. It is a process flowchart from starting to the end, how you are supposed to execute the process successfully. And at the ending of this lecture, you should be able to calculate the performance metric as a throughput time and direct labor utilization in the work flow process panel. You should be able to identify the bottleneck operation, which is the slowest process in the process flow for producing efficient layout and to create new jobs process flow so that the overall service capacity can be done as efficient as possible that could be attained. So those are a few learning objectives that we need to understand and also we need to absorb within this chapter. Okay, let's get it started. The first subtitle is Environmental Orientation Consideration. So what are the layout designers, what are the architects, and what are the administrators need to consider when you are focusing on the environmental orientation? What does environmental orientation mean? Basically, when you enter a shopping center or fast food restaurant, so you are basically entering into a new territory or entering inside a big building. So your orientation is in the sense of where you are moving from here to the next direction. So those are called orientation. You have to understand your surrounding, your environment, the facilities at the front of you, at the back of you, at the top of you. So it gives you good sense of where you are. That is what it means by orientation. Okay. In other words, for visitors going to this big building like IKEA shopping center, so our visitors need to know where is the space, what are the cues for him or her to move forward from where to where to do the shopping. So in environmental orientation consideration, managers need to create formulas and facility to draw based on their previous experience of entering a new building or space. The availability of atrium is normally a lobby in which the entrance will allow visitor to have a intuition understanding of for the sense where he or she is in terms of direction to move forward. So in other words, when you enter a new building, normally there are some reference or information table or information, I would say display that it will show you you are here. So by that, it means environmental orientation consideration for customers. visiting facilities in order to do shopping or in order to execute their needs. Okay, let's discuss on the first two sub title, which is the next one is Servicescapes. In order to design the physical surrounding that influence the behavior of employee or even the customers, so designers, architects, or policymakers, they need to consider a few of the elements. For example, ambient conditions, okay, spatial space layout and functionality, and also including signs, symbol, and artifacts. Okay, I think for good understanding, let me relate these cityscapes towards IKEA. So I believe that most of you have got the chance to visit shopping, or at least window shopping at IKEA facility, be it in Johor Bahru or in Kuala Lumpur. So if you take a look on the ambient condition for IKEA, you could see that the lighting is nicely set in terms of what lux level should be the lighting, whether it should be bright or it should be medium and so on. The temperature, the musics, those are basically background characteristic of setting the ambience condition in IKEA. So you couldn't agree more with me that the ambient condition at IKEA is excellent, I would say, in terms of getting customer to feel comfortable. How do you see the space layout in between department of IKEA that you visited? For example, from the department of perhaps lunch, and later going to the bedroom, and later going to the kitchen. Those are basically spatial layout and functionality. The reception area, in which when you enter the entrance, immediately you could see the traffic flow of people, or you could see some customer representative standing by, eager to help you to go where you need to go. So those are the circulation path of customer and employee, at which area important that you need to go. So I believe at IKEA there are many or sufficient signs, symbols, in order to ensure that you are properly oriented in as far as location and the direction next for you to visit or for you to go. Okay, I bet that some of you might have also visited Aquaria KLCC and in downtown Kuala Lumpur. So Aquaria KLCC is another example with excellent servicescape, I think. So at Aquaria KLCC, basically it is arranged in such a way that you will enter at the atrium, in which it is at the level of the ground. And then once you go further, and then later you will go down further and further towards the water, and later towards the ocean. So at the ocean, the cityscape setting is even more spectacular, in which as if you are, I would say, scuba diving inside an ocean, and you can walk into a tunnel in which both of you are basically ocean with its living creatures. So that is how to set for excellent cityscape at Aquaria KLCC. That is just an excellent example. Well, if you visit IKEA, as far as the direction that you are moving, normally you could take a look at this arrow on the floor, which is projected from the light shadow to the floor, and basically you just follow or move along on the direction of the arrow at the front of you. So this is basically avoiding people to be feeling confused or losing their direction where to go next. So all the while on the pathway, basically there are direction for you to follow, which is to the right, to the left, or to the right, or move forward. So this is also one excellent example of good design in Servicescape. Let's take a look on the typology of a Servicescape. What are the quadrants or metrics that explain the few combination of Servicescapes that are available in many shopping or service facility? First, take a look on the first quadrant, which is at the golf course or theme park, like Sunway Lagoon and so on. So that category is of self-service, in which a customer are only dealing with himself or herself at golf course. You are busy just entertaining yourself at the Sunway Lagoon or water park. And the physical or the complexity of the facility is basically quite elaborate, because you have many choices to made it from. Whether you want to walk from hole 1 to hole 2 or hole 3, or at the Sunway Lagoon, you could go from perhaps on the water sliding, and then later go for swimming. So there are many choices which is elaborate in terms of the complexity of the physical offering at Sunway Lagoon. Next, let's take a look on the quadrant for self-service, which is you only concerned on you with respect to the lean service scape, which is streamlined, straightforward servicescape, like, for example, at the post office. Well, pretty much at post office, there are not many places that you could go. Either you take the number at the counter, and then you wait at the waiting section or chair, and then your number will be called, and you go to the counter to execute your transaction. That's all. That is quite lean, and this is quite elaborate. On who perform the servicescape for interpersonal, this means for both, which is customer and also the service provider. For example, at airline terminal. In the airport, for example, both the you as a traveler and also the airline employee or the airport employee, both are interacting each other to execute the servicescape. It is not only you concern yourself, you are also concerned with security, to check your baggage or your belongings, and then you go to the respective gates, you go to the immigration. Those are basically both interpersonal, which is customer, and also the service provider. So that is quite elaborate, because you are moving from checking in, and later security, and later you walk or go to the gate, or you go to the toilet, or you go to the cafe first. This is quite elaborate service. On the interpersonal segment, with relative to the lean offering of service, you could take a look at the like budget hotel. So the interpersonal servicescape are available, in which you interacting with the hotel personnel, like the receptionist, and later upon getting your payment done and booking done, you get your room card or key, and then you go to your room. So this is quite straightforward lean. On the third category of who perform the servicescape is basically remote service. Remote service means that the servicescape are performed by the employee. Okay? For example, like telemarketing. Telemarketing, basically, it is quite a lean service, right? Basically, the telemarketers is doing the job for you, answering your question and so on. So these are the elaboration or the study of type of servicescape. Basically, they have a six combination or six segment, from as elaborate as golf course to as simple as telemarketers, that is serving customer, helping customer to get their answers. This is the diagram that shows the flow from left to right on what are the Servicescape elements that they will be encountering. For example, from the environmental dimension, and then move forward to a holistic environment, and later it goes through the psychological moderators, and then customer move on experiencing on internet responses, and later the actual behavior experienced by the customer and also to the service provider. First, let's take a look on like IKEA, the ambient condition, like the temperature. Well, normally the air conditioning is set at around perhaps 22 or 23 degrees Celsius, and the air quality feel fresh, and the noise is basically minimum. There are some background music, so soft music being played at the head of above, and the order normally it smells nice. And if you take a look, some reflection on IKEA, the space and function, the layout is a nicely spaced, in which there are abundant space in between department to department for you to enjoy and have a look prior making the purchase. The equipment is normally laid out nicely for customers to test, perhaps the furniture. So the furnishing is also made available for a nice checking out. So on sign, symbol, and artifact, I believe there are signs for perhaps for emergency or exit, and signage for what of category or product that they are displaying. Perhaps it is for bed, or it is for kitchen. So I think ambient conditions, space, function, and sign, symbol, and artifact in IKEA with respect to the excellent Servicescape element are quite excellent. So that you perceive after experiencing the ambient, the spacing, and the sign, you will have some sort of feel happy and comfortable and at ease within the IKEA environment. And later it will set your cognitive, it will set your emotion, set your mood, and also set your physiological situation to be comfortable for shopping or finding the product that you really want to buy. Subsequently, customer moving on to, you could of course ask employee or the service provider for some question, in which for example like product code, or where to find this product at the warehouse later. So customer will get the response, and next the behavior is that you will feel comfortable, and as such you feel happy and at ease. You decide to stay longer at IKEA. Perhaps you could instead of buying 2 or 3 products, end up you are buying 10 products. So there are social interactions between you and the IKEA employee, or perhaps if you go to the IKEA kitchen or cafe, you could have more interaction between you, yourself, and other customer. So this is basically a good approach in designing a Servicescape to provide excellent experience for customer. This is just a snapshot of IKEA service. So basically, it is a nicely layout in terms of good modular. Like this is perhaps for kitchen. There is a pathway, and any question or doubt you would like to ask, you can ask the customer representative. The next topic is basically about how to design a facility so that it could be excellent with a good consideration. So normally there are few elements that you need to consider in designing a facility for shopping or for customer. For example, you have to consider the nature and the objective of the service organization. Okay, for example, if it is you are designing for building for the fire department or bomba, surely you need to have the big space for the building to cater for the fire fighting machine or vehicle. So that's nature and the objective. And you have to design facility with a good consideration on land availability. For example, if you are designing a Tesco, so of course definitely you need to have a parking lot, in which that parking lot normally with the roof, because the Malaysian weather is normally hot and then later raining, rain and then hot. So I think the spacing of the parking and with roofing, so that customer can walk from the parking lot to the building and later bringing back the purchase good from the outlet to the back to their parking lot is made easy and is made comfortable. Third facility design consideration is flexibility. Okay, if you take a look like a large facility like an airport, so airport has evolved from the centralized big airport, and later it become hub and spoke airport, in which smaller airport existing on the vicinity of the big airport. That is what they call flexibility. So as such, as a designer of airport, you must consider traveling, for example, from big airport like KLIA, and then later customer will go to the smaller airport like KLIA 2. So that is what they call flexibility. So airline traveler can move easily from big airport to smaller airport, because recently air travel has been deregulated, in which flights or aeroplane are dispersed instead of converging in the into a single large airport. They are dispersed toward a smaller airport surrounding the big airport. Okay, fourth consideration for designing excellent facility for customer is security. Again, if you take a look at airport nowadays, due to extensive and heavy security alert, so nowadays you could see a bigger lounge or area for security check, for catering a large number of traveler locally or also abroad. So security lounge at airport now even become bigger and bigger nowadays. Okay, subsequently, you need to consider also aesthetic factor. Okay, how things make sense to customer visiting the building or using the building, so that it is feeling very nice to go into the building. Okay, for example, like aesthetic factor at Tesco. So normally you enter with at the entrance, and later you go to this security check, or you go to the place where you take the trolley, and then from the trolley you move on to perhaps into the wet market, the place where you can buy vegetables or things which is a pack, for example, like meat or fish and so on, and then later you move on to a drier section like the kitchen and household stuff, and later move to electrical, and then later go to the cashier. So those are the aesthetic factors that you have to design excellently, respectively with the facility that you're working for. The sixth element to consider for excellent facility design is the existing community and also the environment. So if you are designing for a hotel, right, or a community hall, so you have to consider the community surrounding and the environment, in which normally, like a community hall, when they call for event, there are many people coming and they surely need a lot of parking. So for the community hall, it must have a very large parking to cater for the visiting people going to the hall. Let's take a look on the types of service processes. There are many types which are being explained in the book. Basically, there are 5 types. For example, for the project types like consulting, right? The service process is basically engage one-of-a-kind engagement, and the management challenge is staffing and also scheduling, because normally time schedule is very tight. For job shop, for example, like hospital, because normally it goes with the flow process. It has many departments, and you have to balance between the department to the next department. For example, in hospital, normally you enter, you will go to the perhaps receptionist, take the your number, your sequence number, and then you will go for first you need to withdraw blood for sampling. blood sampling. And then after go for blood sampling, normally you can only get the result and later see the doctor. So those are the job shop approach or type as shown by hospital. The third type of process is a batch, in which for example, at airline, group of customers are treated, I would say, in one batch. For example, when you are entering a flight, normally a group of 100 or 200 people are treated simultaneously, and the management challenge is basically seat must be taken. If it is not taken, then for that particular flight, the seat is considered perishable. Fourth type of process type is flow. It is a flow type like cafeteria, like McDonald's or KFC, in which there is a fixed sequence of operation in which when you enter, normally you go to the cashier, you make the order, and then you make the payment, and then later you got your food, and later you sit down and enjoy your food. So management challenge is normally you have to adjust staff based on timing. Okay, particularly in the lunch time. So there are many big demand for food. So you have to adjust the staff, for example, as cashier and also production accordingly. The last process type is continuous. For example, electric utility. So if the power is shut down, so normally you are expected to have a continuous power supply. So the maintenance and capacity planning is very important as far as management challenge to keep up with the power supply. Let's take a look on the swim lane flowchart of a graduate school for admission. For example, you are a postgraduate student enrolling a master program at UTHM or some other university. So these are the process flowchart from applicant, admission, graduate, secretary, and graduate advisor, and so on. So let's take a look on the process flow. So you are applicant to enroll for the master study at UTHM. So you fill up the application form, be it physically or online form, and later you need to sit in the exam, acceptance exam, for example, requirement exam like MUET or and so on. So next, your application form will go to the admissions club for administration, and they will check your application and provide a folder for you. And then if your folder is complete, then it will be processed to the next batch file. At the same time, your result of qualification exam will be verified. They are looking for people to as references, and you have to wait, okay, for your results of exam to be approved. And upon the batch file being processed, it will go for review, and then perhaps you will be called for physical or personal interview, and then make selection. If it is approved, then you are accepted, and then got financial aid, and upon got the approval for your application, then you will have receive the acceptance letter, right, and so on. So all these are the standard flow chart for processing a particular task, in which at the starting it is got the oval shape. If it is a processing operation, it is rectangular. If you need to make decision, normally it is with this a diagonal shape, right? It is the decision. If it is waiting for processing, it will be a triangle, and the process flow is shown by the direction of this arrow, whether next to the right, or whether you're going up or flowing down. So all these are the standard of drafting or coming up with the flowchart of a task from starting, okay, until the end. Okay, so I think let's take a short break because this is about 30 minutes already of my lecture. So this is part one. So let's take a short break, and after that I'll continue with part two with this Gantt chart for mortgage service. Okay. let's take a short break. We'll continue after that.